A villain who smiles in the face of chaos, who controls an entire kingdom like a puppeteer, and who has his enemies dancing on his strings. Literally, Donquixote Doflamingo isn't just a warlord, he's one of One Piece's greatest antagonists. But what makes him such an unforgettable villain?
この国を救いに来た。俺の名はドン・キホーテ・ドフラミンゴ。
Doflamingo's presence alone demands attention. He doesn't just talk, he commands. Whether it's his trademark laugh or the effortless ways he toys with people, he exudes charisma. Unlike other villains who rely solely on brute force, Doflamingo manipulates those around him mentally, emotionally, and politically. His ability to manage the long game, managing an empire of underground dealings while maintaining his public image, is genius. Few characters in One Piece have wielded power with such strategic finesse. For example, how he blackmailed the world government with knowledge of the Celestial Dragon's treasure. Another one, how he turned Dressrosa's people against their rightful king through sheer deception. And also how he fooled the entire world into thinking he stepped down as a warlord just to bait Law into a trap. These actions showcase his cunning nature, proving that brute strength alone isn't enough to maintain control. True power lies in manipulation and deception. But Doflamingo's intelligence isn't his only defining trait. Behind his calculated mind lies a streak of unrelenting brutality, making him an even greater threat. But what happens when intelligence is paired with unrelenting cruelty? Doflamingo doesn't just defeat his enemies, he breaks them. His brutality is just as terrifying as his mind. While Doflamingo is incredibly intelligent, he is also one of the most ruthless villains in the series. He doesn't just defeat his enemies, he breaks them. When people defy him, he ensures they suffer in ways worse than death, demonstrating his merciless nature. One of the most chilling examples of his brutality is the massacre of his own father, a former Celestial Dragon, in his unrelenting torment of his brother, Karazhan. Instead of showing remorse or hesitation, Doflamingo embraces the cruelty of his actions, cementing himself as one of the most vicious characters in One Piece. His control over Dressrosa was equally horrifying. He turned citizens into puppets, manipulating them into killing their loved ones for his entertainment. The depth of his control was terrifying. People didn't even realize they were living under his tyranny. His birdcage ability is another testament of his destructive power. Trapping an entire country in an inescapable death zone, he forced the inhabitants to fight amongst themselves, all while ensuring there was no way out. This wasn't just an act of war, it was a psychological torture at an unprecedented scale. This cruelty extended to Trafalgar Law, whom he tormented for years. Forcing Law to eat the Ope-Ope-no-Mi against his will was just one example of how Doflamingo exerted dominance over his subordinates. Every action he took was calculated, ensuring that he maintained psychological and physical control over those around him. He's not just powerful, he is methodical, always thinking ahead. Even in battle, he nearly broke Luffy, forcing him to unlock Gear 4 in one of his most grueling fights yet. His ability to blend sheer brute force with unmatched intellect made him a villain unlike any other. But Doflamingo's reign of terror didn't just shape his enemies, it changed the world. His impact on Law, Dressrosa, and even the balance of power in the Grand Line left scars that the world would not heal from easily. Doflamingo wasn't just an enemy of Trafalgar Law, he was his tormentor, the driving force behind his revenge, and the biggest obstacle he had to overcome. Law's entire backstory is tied to Doflamingo's cruelty, from his tragic childhood to his suffering with the Donquixote family. Their fight wasn't just about survival, it was deeply personal, a vendetta years in the making. Doflamingo took everything from Law and turned his pain into a long, slow burning game of manipulation and dominance. Dressrosa, unlike many other islands in One Piece, was not ruled by fear alone, it was ruled by deception. Doflamingo masterfully manipulated the people into loving him while oppressing them in ways they couldn't even see. He turned families against each other, erasing people's existences and crushing an entire kingdom from within. The sheer scale of his control was staggering, making him one of the most dangerous threats in One Piece history. For Luffy, Doflamingo represented a key moment in his evolution. Before Dressrosa, Luffy had fought strong enemies, but none like Doflamingo. He wasn't just another warlord, he was a completely different caliber of villain. To defeat him, Luffy had to push himself further than ever before, unlocking Gear 4 in a battle that tested his limits. Beyond just physical strength, Doflamingo showed Luffy the true depth of manipulation and corruption, something he would see again in enemies like Kaido and the world government. He is stylish, powerful, and complex, a rare villain who perfectly balances intelligence with absolute brutality. His character design alone makes him instantly recognizable, from his ever-present sunglasses to his extravagant pink feathered coat. His very presence radiates confidence, dominance, and unpredictability, making him one of the most visually striking villains in One Piece. Unlike many enemy villains, who are either purely evil or misunderstood, Doflamingo exists in a space in between. He has a tragic backstory that almost makes you sympathize with him, but his ruthless actions ensure he remains irredeemable. His decisions are calculated, his influence undeniable, and his grip on power was something few could challenge. His removal from the power structure left a void, one that groups like the Cross Guild, his knowledge of celestial dragons, and the national treasure of Merijoa remains a lingering mystery, one that could still shake the world order if revealed. Despite being imprisoned in Impel Down, Doflamingo's presence still looms large over the One Piece world. The series has had its fair share of villains, but few are as unforgettable as Doflamingo. His sheer presence, intricate schemes, and brutal execution of his goals set him apart from most antagonists in anime history. Whether or not he makes a return in the final saga, his name is already cemented amongst One Piece's greatest villains.